And remember, keep most of your conversations as far away from the topic of Nicholas J. Fuentes being caught with trans porn on his phone whilst also being a flagrant transphobe on the internet. Don't talk about that too terribly much. Okay, so it is not often we get a back look. We get a look into the background of a pundit. Things that are not supposed to be heard by everybody and is supposed to be just within their in-group. So I wanted to let you guys know that today we're going to be talking about Nick Fuentes. And I could talk about the fact that he was caught with a tab open of trans porn. I could talk about that, but that's not what I'm going to be talking about today. That was funny from my perspective, as he is a blatant homophobe and transphobe, and yet that is the exact kind of stuff that he watches on the internet. It's hilarious to me, but that's not the conversation today. I want to talk about something more substantive. We're going to have the fan art section, and then we'll get into the conversation that is not about his proclivity for watching porn of trans people while also being a transphobe. Though that is certainly a conversation that I could have. A conversation about Nick Fuentes's proclivity for watching trans porn while also being a transphobe on the internet. That is a thing I could do. But it's not what I'm going to be talking about today. Today we're talking about fan art. This one is from Mathematical Cabbage. It said, I missed the original stream covering Crypto Land, but I did see the video. A quick MS Paint coin, Suris, because life is pain and suffering. Stop making coins, sir. It's the thing. Kill me. The next one we have here is from Skit. This is an updated version of the fan art that was done a couple of days ago before this. It is an inked version of that fan art. The next one we have is from Dith Thompson. Refined. Hold on. I have to do this in the voice. Refined. Elegant. Neckoin. Coming to an I'm not going to say that word never 2050. The one crypto you can trust. Stop! Stop making these coins a thing! Please! Fucking hell! Anyways, as always, thank you all for your fan art submissions. I am going to go on a blind rampage with several victims. If you want your fan art to be shown in a future video, don't post coins. As always, let's get into the topic. So this is during a Twitter Spaces chat, which for those who don't know, you can set the kinds of people that are allowed to view a Twitter Spaces, and then you basically have the equivalent of a Discord call with a bunch of randos on your Twitter. Now, Nick Fuentes talked about how he feels about the working class. Now, remember, this is the guy who a lot of people are just like, wow, he's just like me. I work at McDonald's 24/7 and I don't like my life. He's just like me. But let's take a listen at the things he actually has to say.
And this is why I hate workers. This is why I hate this working class stuff. Because in case you haven't noticed, poor people suck a lot of the time. You know, like everybody has, whether they know it or not, internalized this oppressed thing. And so, you know, like when Baked Alaska pepper sprays a gas station worker, everybody goes, oh, he picked on a poor, innocent gas station worker who's just trying to get some money and blah, blah, blah. They call that blue collar. First of all, being a gas station clerk is not blue collar, it's service. This is a big difference. One. Two, it's like, you know, as a real right-winger, I'm actually, I believe in hierarchy and I believe in elitism. And so it's not like, oh, this poor worker. It's like, oh, this clerk, you know, it's like completely different.
As if somebody who is working in service is not actually a worker. Now, I could respond to everything that is being said here from Nick Fuentes' mouth, but that would be... Sometimes it's better to just let the person talk and let them dig their own grave. If you work minimum wage, if you work any kind of service industry, if you work any of that and you, like Nick Fuentes, understand he despises you. He believes in elitism. He believes he is better than you. He believes that he as an individual is deserved of more than you are because you are less than him. To Nick Fuentes, somebody in the service industry is a form of subhuman. To a leftist, somebody in the service industry is a worker just like anybody else. We're all workers. Whether you work in the gig economy for, Uber or anything like that, or you work on a 1099, any kind of 1099 work like what I have to do here on YouTube, or if you work at a McDonald's or a Quick Trip or a Walmart, it doesn't matter. You're a worker. You do something. You entertain people. You get them their food. You make sure that things are stocked for them. You are part of the bedrock that lets society run. The whole breads and circuses thing, it doesn't happen unless you have workers making that happen. So, what does that say? When you are necessary, because if you believe that a gas station clerk is not necessary, then we can envision a world where there are no gas station clerks and you have no ability to refuel your car, and we don't have walkable cities, so there you are. Suddenly now, it's very inconvenient for you. These are necessities. You could say the fast food worker's not necessary, but now you're on a road trip and you have no way of getting easy access food. Suddenly now, that worker is necessary. You could say that anybody on any platform of anything is not necessary, and then suddenly you can imagine a world where you don't have them, and it's a whole lot harder to operate. Nick Fuentes not only doesn't think that those things are necessary, but he thinks that you, for working them, are subhuman.
Completely different sort of like attitude towards these people. And what's more, in this country, everything is terrible. Like,
we agree with that, but
the service sucks. I wish... Baked Alaska is aspirational. I wish that I could walk around with mace and mace as many service workers as Baked Alaska does and gets away with, because gas station clerks are assholes and fast food workers are assholes. Like, we all want to say, oh, boo-hoo, the poor worker. And yeah, not all the workers are bad, but it's like the same thing with the cops. It's the same like blind spot that, these Back the Blue people have with the cops. Like, oh, these poor cops, Blue Lives Matter. And then they wait for all the kids to die before they go on to school, and then they like break your nose because you didn't wear a mask. And
so unironically, he's hit a point here where he's kind of correct. If we're talking about the Uvalde shooting, then yeah, that was a thing. I am not a huge fan of the way law enforcement operates in this country. But when he says things like that, I'm like, okay, I can kind of be on board. But when he says things like he wishes he could go around and just mace people for the sin of having to work a minimum wage job to survive, that to me is heinous, and it speaks a lot towards the psyche of an individual like that. If you think that macing random workers is aspirational, you need help. You desperately need help. So is Nick counting on not being recognized in public or something? Man, I think if you say something like this, personally, in my opinion, if you say something like this, it should be a legally defensible thing that if you are a gas station worker or a fast food worker, you should be able to mace him as soon as he walks into a building. And the reason I say that is he has already indicated publicly his disdain for you and also his want to do that. He has already initiated a call for this to be an aspirational thing to happen to you. I believe, personally, that it should be legally defensible to retaliate. Now, I understand that it's not, and I understand that it's a good thing that it's not. But that doesn't make me not want that catharsis. Spray him with HRT fluids. Take the E, bitch! But you'd say legally obligated to decline service, but sadly that's usually only ever up to management. There's that as well, but I also advocate for, city council meetings to have access to a water bottle to spray people who are being stupid. But anyways, continue on, Nick Fuentes. Continue burying your own grave.
The same thing goes for the service workers. We got to stand by our working class gas station workers.
True, we do.
It's like, nigga, you ever been to a gas station?
Oh, boy. I like it when people who are not from an oppressed group or a minority use the slur that is used against that minority in jest. I love that. It's my favorite. Sometimes you just have to let them dig their own grave.
You ever been to a gas station? They're assholes. You know?
You know why they're assholes, Nick? Do you want to know why gas station workers are assholes? From somebody who was a gas station worker, actually a manager at a gas station. People are assholes because of people like you. And I say that wholeheartedly, full chest. People like you exist. And then if I were to rewind the clock to when I was working at Quick Trip, people like you exist, and therefore people like me had to deal with people like you. And dealing with people like you turned people like me into assholes. People like you existing the way you do, saying the things you do, emboldening the people you do on the internet makes lives and jobs harder for those people who have to deal with you and all the fallout from you. You don't like them being assholes? Don't be a bitch.
Or any fast food restaurant. Oh, he pepper sprayed a McDonald's worker, dude, or Burger King or whatever. It's like, you ever been to Burger King? Burger King fucking sucks.
Then why are you at the Burger King pepper spraying people? Why is that a thing you're doing?
There's a reason why.
I wish I could have heard the last part of that. I wish I could have heard that, because this speaks a lot to the kind of person Nick Fuentes is. Let's take a look at some of the comments on this over on Twitter just to see what other insight there might be on something like this. First one here is, I think Sarah Skeptic might be interested in tearing Nick Fuentes' rant a new one. Yes, I would. Because I could talk about the fact that Nicholas J. Fuentes was caught with trans porn on his phone and is also somehow at the exact same time a flagrant transphobe. I could talk about that. But talking about that would undermine this more important conversation about how he feels about disenfranchised people working in gas stations and fast food places, who, by the way, make up most of his viewer base. But okay. One of the comments here says, I love how all the chuds are like it wasn't a secret chat, as if that makes much of a difference. Yeah, it doesn't. It doesn't make a difference at all. Whether secret or public, it doesn't matter. This is an individual who believes in hierarchy, believes in elitism, and therefore believes he should be higher on a social ladder than you, and so he should be allowed to fire at you with mace constantly. He's pro-fascist, he's so fascist that he wants to mace employees for putting pickles on his hamburger. So I'll end this segment on this. There's a type of person when called out for their abuse who responds this way, and that type of person is Nick Fuentes.
He's an abuser. He's an abuser. If you're abusive, you want to see some fucking abuse?
And that's all I'll say about that. But anyways, sometimes it's better to just let them speak. They do half the work for me, really. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. And remember, keep most of your conversations as far away from the topic of Nicholas J. Fuentes being caught with trans porn on his phone whilst also being a flagrant transphobe on the internet. Don't talk about that too terribly much. Talk about more important things, like how he hates workers. As always, everybody, insert end of video tagline here.